Gen Z is the most racially, ethnically diverse generation yet? More Gen Zers are pursuing the college more than the previous generations? More Gen Z are more likely to have parents with a bachelor's degree than ever before? Man, these must be some innovative, creative, and wonderful scholars in today's generation. I have to investigate more. I'm not going to be Mr. Baker anymore. It's time I get into the field and go interview these Gen Z students. Yeah, I cut out this beginning part. All right, so good afternoon. I'm Desmond. Just wanted to introduce myself. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
What's your name?
Tatiana.
Tatiana. Last name?
Owens.
Owens. All right. Sir?
Nice to see you. My name is Dorian Joyce.
Dorian, how you doing? So before we start with our introductions or so, I just wanted to make sure I have verbal consent from you two that I'm able to record this conversation and videotape it for my contemporary college student course.
Yes.
Thank you, I appreciate it. So you guys want to tell us a little bit about yourselves? We can start with our young lady first.
Hello, my name is Tatiana Owens. I am a junior elementary education major coming from Stanford, Connecticut. I'm a resident assistant in Blount Towers, and I'm also served as junior class secretary for this year.
My name is Dorian Joyce. I'm hailing from New Jersey. I'm a freshman architecture major, and I'm currently part of the Morgan.
Okay, excellent. So I just wanted to be candid and open about our conversation today or so. We're going to be talking to you guys briefly, and specifically because you are a part of the Generation Z generation. Those are students born in between the years of 2000s and 2010s, which you both are. I've read and researched that you guys are the most innovative students, charismatic, and you guys have more technology than ever. So I just want to see and learn about you guys, what your interests are, what is your background, and what you're ultimately going to do in the future. Is that all right?
Yes.
All right, so I'll start off with the first question, and we can ping pong it. You can do rock, paper, scissors, but we're just going to have some open dialogue today about you guys. So first I would say, what would you say is your best learning style? How do you guys feel that you best learn today?
Through actions, like hands-on. So like that's why I chose architecture, because it's a hands-on learning. Because I can't be a reader or a listener, because then I'm gonna fall asleep. I need to be physically active.
I think I'm a visual learner. Elementary education, it's a lot of colors, a lot of big and small letters, and I remember when I was that age, that's how I learned like my alphabets, my numbers, and things like that. So I think I still carry those traits.
Nice. How pertinent are social issues how pertinent are social issues to you, and how does they affect your lives today? But the social issues that are concerned, are there any social concerns currently that you guys are impacted by, that are driving you to do what you ultimately want to do in the future? Social issues, things that's going on in the community, maybe politics in the country, even here on campus. Is there anything that's going on, maybe with specific genders or certain subgroup that you think needs to be changed or highlighted a little more?
Personally, I automatically think of like the safety and security. I recently lost a friend on campus due to gun violence, and I feel like that is a social issue that should be addressed inside the Morgan State community and in America in general. And then another issue, I know my friend Alex Freeman, he had a cause of getting free feminine products for women on campus because we don't have any, and I think that's another issue that should be addressed as well.
Yeah, I would agree with that, especially with predominantly large part of the school being female or so. I wasn't aware of that. You?
Well, I have a lot. There's the mistreatment of women, whether it be on campus or throughout the world. Because I did a paper in English on female bullying. So bullying on the women, and I learned astonishingly that 90% of women get bullied ages 18 to 24. So those are majority college age women. And then it was one in 6 females on campus get sexually assaulted. Another statistic is 33% of them end up committing suicide before they graduate. Another social issue that I want to take action is homelessness. Because I remember when I first visited Morgan, we had went to the harbor after, and I seen a couple homeless people. And growing up with my grandpa, every time we would go to Philly, which is close to where I used to live, there'd be homeless people, and he ended up giving this man his whole meal that he had just bought, simply because he was a war veteran. And typically they say when you come back from the war, you're already taken care of, but they're really not. More social issues, race or colorism.
Still an issue in the country, feel like?
Yes. And then back to like the mistreatment of women, like we need to, I feel as though we could have classes for men to know how to properly treat a lady, because when I walk around campus, I see a lot. Like yesterday I was on campus, I was right in front of the dining hall, and these 2 guys, they were wrestling with this girl, and they flipped her over the railing, and she ended up landing on her neck, and that's not like okay, that's wrong, because you shouldn't be physically touching a woman.
Is there any history in your background, if you mind me asking, about why you care about that social issue so much? Why is that the first one that you mentioned?
Being that I grew up in a woman household, a single mother, and I grew up around a lot of older women, got a lot of aunts. I didn't really have a lot of male figures in my life, so I had a lot of female figures. So to me, I feel as though, and since I have little sisters and everything, I don't want them to live like how, I don't want them to get treated bad, so I feel as though I want to change that before my sister goes to college, or while she's still in high school now, or they're my younger siblings before they get to high school and college.
Good. What is your inspiration for education, and how will you obtain your ultimate goals?
My inspiration, you mean like what drives us to be educated?
Yes, so you made it this far, you made it to Morgan State University or so. Was this your first option? Was it, because I know a lot of Gen Zers, it says for the researcher, very entrepreneurial, have a very entrepreneurial mindset. They don't want to work for anybody. It's a do it now society. It's a microwave society. I want instant gratification. I want the bag. I want to secure the bag. I want the money. Maybe college might have, maybe a perspective of another Gen Z student may have felt like, hey, college might derail me. I could spend 4 years just to get a degree that I might not get a job, and then I may have a lot of loans that I'll be paying back for a large period amount of my time, or I could just go get my CDLs. I could be a truck driver as soon as I'm 18 and start making $70,000 within the 2 years or so. So what was your inspiration to say, hey, I'm gonna get my education, I'm going to graduate, and this is going to propel me to what my ultimate goals are?
Well, my mother, she instilled in me when I was young that the education is key to everything. So ever since I hit like middle school, she's been telling me, you're going to go to college, and day after day she would tell me, you're going to college, you're going to college, you're going to college. And once I got old enough, I started trying to do that for my younger sister, who lives in the same house as me, because all my other siblings are on my dad's side. I try to tell her that the same thing, so she ends up going to college, because she's in the mindset now that she doesn't want to go to college. She wants to go to cosmetology school, and I'm like, okay, you can do that. You can study cosmetology, you can get your little license in cosmetology, but then you can take that to campus, make money on campus doing cosmetology, but then you can also get a degree in business, and then ultimately when you graduate, you'll be able to open your own business and it'll tie together.
Yeah, so you're the fundamentals that your mother instilled in you, you're passing along to your sister, siblings, and things like that. Like, okay, yeah, you can go to cosmetology school and start your own business and everything and get your money, but you also want to have a backup plan just in case things don't work out, things like that. So that's good.
Excuse me.
Future educator.
Personally, I grew up also in a household where education was key. Both my parents did not go to college, and I have two older siblings, both that did go to college, one that dropped out his senior year, and another that graduated after 6 years. So when I was little, I always said I was going to Yale. I wanted to be a doctor. I'm from Connecticut, so Yale's in Connecticut, but I wanted to go to Yale. And then when I finally was a junior, I had to pick a college to go to. Yale was not one of the options.
Was it finances or what? Don't mean to interrupt.
Both finances, because schools of that type of standard have very, very, very high tuition, and I just did not feel like putting my parents under that financial burden. And then also the standards of the school, like having complete straight A's, even though I was a great student in high school, I knew that that wasn't the path I wanted to take. I wanted to educate, I wanted to motivate, I wanted to encourage the younger generation. So that's why I'm here at Morgan studying elementary education. And I also do the same thing. I have younger adopted siblings, so I try to encourage them to go to school. One that's in high school right now as a junior, trying to get him to go to school and keep him on the right path. So education is very, very important to me.
Question, and this is just off the question chart, but from you guys interacting with your peers and everything, or so being around the Gen Z students, would you say there's an emphasis on education? You guys have these motivating factors from parents or just internal motivation to succeed and things like that, but do you see that in the circle of groups that you're in, or what about classmates or so? Are they studying? Does it seem like that's on the forefront of their mind as well? Because sometimes I don't necessarily see it from a higher ed perspective or so, especially when I see a lot of GPAs slumping semester to semester and things like that, but you guys are a part of the generation and in the classroom with your peers or so. Do you think they have, what is your guys' perspective on how they may see education?
I have like a yes and no answer to that. I do know some people that education is the only thing, the only reason why they're here. And I don't know if that's because of the major that I'm in. So a lot of people are get motivated and like their passion is education, but I have been encountered with peers that education is not on the top of the list. My brother was an example. College is not just about school to these people. It's more about the parties and the friends.
Social aspect.
Yeah, the whole social aspect. So some people can lose their focus and why they're here. So as long as there's someone reminding them why they're here and what they're doing, I think then they will probably get their focus back.
Okay. What part does social media play a part in your lives? What role does that play? Is it very important? Is it very interested? Are we on there a large amount of time of the day? Is it consuming a portion of our lives or so? This is aspect of I'm a little down I'm shunned on, but I'm not really social media savvy or so. But I know it's very important to the generation or so, as far as promoting, just a lot of things. But what role does it play in you guys' lives? And you can give me, I know what a tweet is, but you can give me some more intricate parts of.
If you want us to answer ourselves or as the whole generation?
You can do both. Let's start with yourself. What role does
As me, social media really doesn't play a big aspect in my life. It's probably like 55, 45, like, because when I'm not in school or when I'm not in my classes, I'll be on social media or I'll be listening to music. and then that's about it. But sometimes I do go on social media to be updated about what's going on campus with a lot of the campus publicity pages like Twitter, Instagram. I don't know. I can never find a Snapchat. And then a lot of promoters on campus, they promote all the parties, which I don't go to because my major is like blue. Very time consuming. I don't never get time to do anything. And most of my friends will be like, "Where you be at?" And I'm like, I'm in the library or I'm in my dorm room or my residence hall doing my work. But as Generation Z students, some people they dedicate their lives to social media. Like I know some girls, they'll still constantly be on social media, just promoting themselves. They won't promote like their wig. They'll promote themselves just because they're looking for attention. But there is a couple girls on campus that they do promote their businesses, like their slides, like. Because at Morgan, we do have girls who they sell slides, they'll do makeup, they'll do hair, they sell wigs, stuff like that. They'll use social media to promote that kind of stuff. But then you have the females on campus who promote the wrong things, and then they get aggravated when they get the wrong feedback. But that's how you're promoting yourself, because you're dedicating your life to social media, and then they get mad when their GPA starts failing, and then they get that call from Office of Retention.
Ms. Owens?
I have to disagree with your last statement. So, personally, my part in social media, I don't really engage in it. I don't post much, but I do go and look, like you said, to keep updated on what's going on. Specifically because I am a student leader, so I have to know what's going on, especially on campus. But when you were talking about females promoting themselves and getting the wrong feedback and all that, I feel like that is a whole bunch of mess. That is from the male perspective. Because I have friends that post on social media often, or social media is their way of getting themselves out there, not even just for promoting themselves in a wrong way. Maybe they want to be a model, and they're trying to take photos to post so people notice them and they get gigs. I also have people, like you said, the ones that promote wigs and all this makeup and stuff. They're the ones that's mostly on social media because they need to keep their presence up. So if they're not posting often, not just about wigs, but also on their personal pages with themselves, then they wouldn't be relevant. So that's also why they're posting. I haven't met anyone, and this is my third year here, who has posted just to post to get attention. I've met people that are posting for a reason, whether I was just looking at Miss Morgan State's page. She has thousands of likes because she's Miss Morgan State. So she has to constantly post to keep up with the presence that she's given the Morgan community. So people like that, of course they're gonna post a little bit more, but not always for attention or negative feedback or anything like that. It's just to grow as a person.
Can we get a number from 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest? What would you say is the number that social media is important to the Gen Z students?
I say 10. I only say 10 just because of the promoting aspect, and people really have full-on careers based off of social media, making way more money than we're making while going to get a degree. So,
but it also, because I think so, like over the years, because I was born in the early 2000s, so social media doesn't really play a big aspect in my life. But my sisters, my younger siblings, social media, they're like a high, they're a high 10, because that's all they want to do, from watching YouTube, being on Instagram, being on Twitter, Snapchat, Facebook. Not necessarily young kids use Facebook nowadays. That's more of the old heads.
I was told by a student before. I'm a former teacher. If you guys didn't know, I know you know, Miss Owens. That Facebook is the old people Instagram. Like that's what they.
It is.
Okay, thank you.
So I use it. It's for family.
So for me, social media probably be like a 7 or 6. But for my sister, hers is like a 9, like a 9.4 because all she does is social media.
Or
Every time I see her, she be on Snapchat trying to swoop her edges and trying to slick her hair back.
How old? How old is she?
She's 15.
15.
She just turned
Oh, man.
15 this year, and she just loves social media. And then, like my baby brothers, they just do social media because it keeps them attention. Because you don't want that little kid, that ranted kid running around the house, start breaking stuff.
Okay.
Because
Miss Owens brought up a good point. Differentiating the different social media platforms or so. She said that Facebook is for family. Do you guys personally say, hey, keep my, like, is it leveraged some way that family is Facebook, Instagram is friends, Twitter is, I don't know, support my this group? Like, is it subsections in your, or is it everybody can see everything? Because I know social media is so big now, and I know it's important. You said 10, you think it's pretty high up there for younger people, primarily teens, early teens, it sounds like. Administrators have Facebooks. The president, I don't want to really mention him, but has a
Instagram video that's on Instagram.
is definitely tweeting every day and starting some drama and everything like that. So is it all intersecting or interchangeable, or you don't want family to see something I'm doing on Twitter, or now I can't have my mom on my Instagram, or is it?
Now I use Facebook mainly to.
My man. Yeah.
I use Facebook mainly to like keep track of my family, because like the older part of my family. I keep track of the older part of my family, like my aunts, my uncles, my great aunts, my great uncles, and so forth like that. But if I try to go in contact with my sister, I shoot straight to Instagram or Snapchat. But it's weird because my mom now she done made an Instagram page. Now I gotta what is it?
monitor.
Yeah, I gotta monitor what I put on there, cause then I don't want my mom DMing me talking about what is this. But Snapchat, I really don't have many family on Snapchat, so I'll post. I don't really post anything bad on Snapchat, but like if I'm at a party, I'll post a video. And then I just made Twitter like last week, so I really don't post on it.
You late to the party, man.
Cause I made Twitter, but it wasn't like intriguing to me. It was like it's nothing. It's not eye catching. You just go on and you just scroll, and you either choose to retweet with a comment, like, and that's it, or to export it to a different social media platform.
You guys both mentioned that you may, even though the usage isn't at a high volume or so, that you go to get updated on information, whether that be the campus, maybe family, friends, or so. Are there any concerns about the usage of it, privacy, security, and things like that? We post in pictures of our family, our friends, and things like that. A lot of personal information goes out. Do you guys have any concerns in the future as far as your social media use, or thinking about what you might see your friends doing or something like that? I know me personally, the time I did have a Facebook and everything, one of the reasons why I got off of social media is because somebody I deemed as like a little sister to me, she was a neighbor across the street. She had posted something derogatory, and then I'm like, I can't see her this way. Like, oh my God, she's putting out too much, and it devastated me. Or so, do you guys have any privacy concerns, or just seeing something you might not want from a friend, a close friend, a family member, anything like that, long term or short term?
Well, all of my social media pages are public. I purposely do that because I'm not posting anything that I wouldn't want to represent me as a person. And I think that's how the mindset should be of whoever is having a social media account, of knowing that anybody and everybody can see what you post. As soon as you click that post or that tweet, it's there forever. So I think keeping that mindset is what keeps me comfortable with what I'm posting, and knowing that anything I'm posting, it's for a good cause, or because it's about my personality. I do get a little bit concerned about posting my family. That's why I only post my family on Facebook with my family on there, and I don't post pictures of my family on Instagram or Twitter. And that's just because I don't know everybody I go to school with, and I follow a lot of people I go to school with. But just because I don't know anybody, that doesn't get me comfortable enough to post it. So, family things I post on Facebook. Everything else is on other platforms.
My privacy, so my Twitter is public, but depending on, like, after I get to a certain point, then I might make it private because I just don't want anybody following me. So like on my Instagram, it's private because you have to request to follow me. So when I see that request pops up, I see who you are. Now, if your page is private and I don't know you, I'm declining it because there nowadays, since technology is so high among people or among the world, you do have a lot of hackers who, like, it would be like the fat guys who sit on the couch. They'll make a page posing as a woman, and then they'll start hacking into like your social accounts. Like they'll ask if you could send them money and stuff like that. And because from experience, my mom, she had on her Instagram page, she's mid-30s, well, late 30s. So she had this one dude was DMing her, and she the whole time she thought he was somebody from the military. Her to find out he was a dude in Africa who was just trying to who was trying to scam her. And because what raised her alert was he asked for her to send him like $500-$600 for like iTunes, and then she's looking at all the pictures that he's sending, and then nowadays you could drag the picture to Google and search by image. So she did that. She was like, all right, let me, because I told her, I was like, Mom, you might want to see if this is the actual person before you send that amount of money out. So she dragged it in here to find out it was somebody else, and then she sent a real long paragraph cussing him out. And then he finally had to come clean. And she was like, well, why wouldn't you just come clean in the first place? I'm a very giving person. I would have sent you money, probably $10-$15, but I wasn't going to send you $500 without knowing who you are.
Totally understand. So that sounds like some security issues there, privacy issues, and not knowing who's really behind the keyboard at the time. So I would just say be conscious and aware of that. And it sounds like you guys are really conscious of that anyway, though. What about diversity today? What is diversity to us? Is it important to us in this climate and changing as the world continues to change? We have a lot of different communities, a lot of different subcultures and subgroups. What is diversity to you, and how is it important to your life, if at all?
I think diversity is such a broad word because I know, like, coming from Connecticut, there were a lot of people that looked like me that I went to school with. So I did not want to go to a historically black college because I was like, I'm not going to make any friends. I don't even know.
You're black.
I know, but yeah, people say that, you're black. But when I did come here, I learned that there's diversity within the black culture. I did not talk like my friends from Maryland or my friends from Atlanta or my friends from California. I didn't talk like them. I didn't act like them. We have different mannerisms. And there's people that are all different types of sexualities. That's also a different culture with diversity or different subgroup in diversity. So just because people categorize it as a broad thing like diversity, black, white, no, it's not just that. It's also gay, straight, or other different things. There's also southern or northern. That's another big thing that I was like, wow, like I'm really different.
Yeah, I know. Here is PG, Baltimore County,
yeah,
right? Like
that's a whole different culture.
Yeah,
so
they
it's
don't
like
even get along.
there's a lot of different ones.
Does that affect what you're your outlook on your ultimate goals? Do you, you want to be an educator? Are you planning to cover everybody?
I'm glad you asked.
You want a specific race or ethnicity or so, or?
So, as a future educator in our classes, they make us know the stats of the different schools, specifically in Baltimore City.
Nice.
Because of the stats and because of the things that I've heard about the Baltimore City schools and from experience visiting them, that's somewhere I would not want to teach. And it's not because of the children, it's not because of anything about the culture, it's just the educational standpoint. Where I would want to teach is somewhere like PG County, where I know it's like they're in the same state, but no, they're different cultures. So that's somewhere I would want to teach, or somewhere in like Montgomery County, where it's more upscale, because I'm more used to. I grew up in the suburbs, so it'll be different. It'll be a culture shock to me to be living in the city, outside of campus. So
I think Morgan might give you some experience though in the city. Diversity. You don't have to answer if you don't want to.
Yeah, diversity is, to me, is basically like differentials. So yes, you do have like the broad topics that people talk about today. It's like black and white, but then they forget about all the different subgroups that are below them. So yes, we could either be black or white, but then you could be a black person who has both parents. You could be a black person with either a single mother or a single father.
Low income.
Low income, high
middle
income.
Class.
What else? And then like you can have the differentiations of schools, like, cause I got some friends from Baltimore that I talk to. They say Baltimore City is different than Baltimore County, and I'm like, well, they both bigger than Baltimore, and they're like, oh, well, it's just different. And I think, well, how is it different? Because me being from Jersey, I went, like, you have North, Central, and South. Now, North is depending on where you're at, what county you live in North. You can be the high income or low income. You can be the poverty, or you can be the wealthy, or you can be in the middle. And then South is more so poverty, because they don't necessarily get all the funds, because they give it to, because people in South Jersey, where I'm from, they really don't take care of. Because if you go like where I used to live in Camden, they throw a lot of trash around, a lot of violence, so they won't fix the buildings because nobody wants to live around there. So then you have the diverse places, you can have diverse alumni, just a whole bunch of different things, because it depends on your perspective, you can think of diversity in so many ways.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. So what about current issues in the country that may or may not drive you, or let's speak about specific tragedies. I know when I was growing up, the tragedy that impacted how I thought, some of my deepest goals and how I was motivated or so was 9/11. Has there been any tragedies that has happened within your guys' generation and your upbringing that has changed your outlook on the country or just your region or your goals or anything like that?
A lot of the police brutality that has struck the Generation Z, and then a little bit past Generation Z, starting with like the Rodney King. That was the first one.
Yeah, I think that's my generation right there.
Yeah, that's the first one. This is the first police brutality I learned about being in high school.
Good.
And I was in an African American club, and that's the stuff that we did. So like Black History Month, we would do stuff like that. So we did like Rodney King. We did like Eric Scott or Eric Gardner. So it was a lot of police brutality, which has driven me to do better, so then I can help my fellow brethren and my fellow sisters, so they don't have to take some of the routes so we can prevent stuff like that from happening. So we could show the world that not all black people are physically violent and that you just don't have to jump to conclusions. Because if you watch the movie Thug, which is an acronym, stands for The Hate You Give, I watched that movie, but I read the book first, and the book is very different from the movie. But the main thing in the book and the movie is the incident where she was leaving a party with her young friend. I don't remember his name, and he had got pulled over by the police, and the police officer automatically assumed just by his car and just because the color of his skin that he was physically violent. So he told him to get out. He already had his holster unclipped, so he was already in the mindset, well, if something goes off, I might have to shoot him. So then it happened. The boy he had went and reached in his car to grab a brush, and the police officer automatically thought it was a gun and shot him 3 times and just left him there to bleed out.
Personally, tragedies that change my goals have to be the school shootings. Sandy Hook was one of the recent ones, and that hit close to home because it was in Newtown, Connecticut, which is not too far from my city. I remember that day my dad cried, and I don't see my dad cry, but my dad was crying, and watching him cry made me sad. It made me reflect on what I want to do, because at that point I already chose I want to be a teacher. Now he's crying because he knows he has a daughter that wants to go into the school system, and you never know what can happen. So that has made me think twice about what I want to do, but I know what I'm passionate about. Personally, for self-defense, my dad's a hunter, so he clearly teaches me how to handle my stuff. And I also boxed for 11 years, so I'm pretty good on someone touching me. I have to handle my business. But it is a gun. A bullet has no name, so I always have to think about that and be conscious of that, and just come up with different ways, especially when I'm in the classroom, of how I would handle that situation with 20 plus kids, including myself. So.
One thing, and thank you guys both for those answers, very powerful responses or so, and something that is important to me as well, both for devastating tragedies or so. I give credit, even though I'm not a fan of social media, not a big fan, at least the young people were really charged up at police brutality against minorities, Sandy Hook shootings, numerous other shootings across the country that have happened recently, have started new change organizations, started to try to change legislation and things like that, and have become really, really active. I think it all started in social media, so I was really astounded by that or so. Let's talk about some of the research that I've been reading and learning about Gen Z. Is you guys are the most entrepreneurial generation ever, mainly because of the access to information. You guys keep professors on their toes, keep higher ed personnel on their toes, because you could get information like that or so. So how important is it to you, if at all, is being an entrepreneur, not working for anybody else, and just doing for self today?
I feel as though, because I do, when I was in high school, I did a couple entrepreneur things like cleaning shoes, car washes, stuff like that, so I can make my own income. But then if you do that, then you don't have nobody who's been in the system, who knows, who has a lot of knowledge. So being the school I went to, I was an engineering major in high school. So all my teachers were engineers, and they actually have their own businesses, their own firms and stuff like that. And there was just one specific teacher. He was in his early 60s, so he's been in the business for like 20 plus years, 30 plus years. And he was like, and every time we would have like conversations, and he would pass down knowledge that he had. And he was like, oh, well, when you get out in the real world and such, you do this and do that. I have my one friend. They helped me actually get into college because I wasn't planning on going. But I was planning on going, but I wasn't sure where I wanted to go. So they helped me narrow it down based on a lot of factors. Before I came here, he was like, because a lot of young people think that they should apply for credit cards now and build their credit up. And he was like, no, don't do that. Don't listen to what everybody else says. He was like, the best time to apply for a credit card is 2 to 3 years after you have already found a good steady stream of income, because then you won't have to worry about anything stabbing you in the back or hitting you unknowingly and then messing everything up.
Entrepreneur. I know specifically for me, growing up, it was grandma, go to college, get a job, go to college, get a job, go to college. That's all I heard. She didn't necessarily tell me how to consolidate my loans or lower my interest or anything like that. I kind of learned that on my own, being first generation college graduate in my family or so. But I think the Generation Z now is like, even if the parents are saying something, it's create a job, create a job, create a job, create a job, do for self. So kudos for that. Let's talk about you guys' roles as leaders. Do you guys consider yourselves as leaders in your community, on campus? If so, how? And if you could, describe your leadership style, if you could.
Yes, I think I'm a leader. I'm a leader on campus because I do serve as different positions, and specifically going off of our resident assistant position, looked at by my residents as a leader. And I think my leadership style would be inspired to empower. So I like to inspire the youth or the people that are looking up to me to empower their role here on campus, here in the world. Why are you here? That's my leadership style. And then I also want to continue that leadership style after I graduate. So I don't just want to be a teacher. I want to be a principal. I want to be a superintendent, and I eventually want to be the president of a university. Because I want to do that same thing, inspired to empower anybody that I can.
As a leader on campus, I necessarily can't say that. I'm not necessarily a leader on campus, but being in high school, being where I'm from, I wasn't trying to be a leader, like a major leader. I was trying like a little minor leader, because I would try to try to give words of wisdom to my peers, because I have one specific friend who was on my football team, and he has both parents in his life. However, he does have family members who are gang members, so they were trying to have him, they were trying to invert his life more so towards gangs. And I was like, well, if you do that, being though that you're such a good athlete, you're going to throw all your athletic abilities or all the potential you can get with your future. You're going to throw away your future as an athlete away, because once they see that you're fighting in school, once you get a rap sheet, it's necessarily most schools won't want you, the big schools, because his favorite school is Miami University, the Hurricanes, and he's like, yeah, I want to go there. And I tell him all the time, well, if you want to go to Miami University, you necessarily can't do the stuff that you do now. So ever since I've been, because he didn't come out for the football team his freshman or sophomore year, so his junior year, I was like, well, you should join the football team, because then it's going to deduct all the negativity in their life. It's going gonna suppress all that, and then you can actually do good instead of doing bad. And other than that, then I try to be a leader, like when it comes to helping or trying to teach men, being though that I grew up with a lot of women. I try to help them and try to tell them like this is how you should be, like how you treat a woman now isn't right. You know, calling them out their name, and not necessarily how you put your hands on a woman, but you shouldn't be doing that. Period. Unless you're trying to save them from a car that's ready to hit them or stuff like that, or grabbing them out of the way. But you shouldn't be like have the mindset where you physically want to hurt a woman.
So how to approach, how to treat people. Maya Angelou said a quote, but if you're learning, then you're teaching. So you guys specifically mentioned how you guys are leaders or you have certain capabilities, or so for being a leader, even if you don't feel like you're a leader on campus, you definitely are, I'll tell you that. What type of learners do you guys feel like you are? Is it visual learners? Is it facilitative learners? Collaborative? I need my professors to collaborate with me, and we both get the job done. I'm asking this question. This is going to be one of our last ones because this course, the contemporary college students, we're learning about you guys' generation and how powerful you are, how innovative and creative that you are. So we have, as paraprofessionals and higher ed administrators, we have to figure out how you guys best learn. So do you guys know what type of learners you are? What's the best way we could really reach you? Is it doing some activities on social media? Is it more hands-on experience? Is it creating new curriculum around some of the new technologies and things that's going on in the world? So first, what type of learner do you think you are? And what do you think a higher education administrator could do to assist you with learning for the future?
As mentioned before, I feel like I'm a visual learner. I didn't put in the social media aspect on it. I watch a lot of YouTube. YouTube is like my sanctuary.
That's my TV too.
Yes, so I learn a lot of things based off of what I watch on YouTube. How to make a wig, how to do my twist out, different things like that I watched on YouTube. And then connecting it to curriculum for education, I feel like students in the Gen Z generation succeed more with creative lesson plans. So if you can incorporate uploading a YouTube video onto the internet as a submission of a project, that's a way of incorporating social media. Or posting a poll on your Instagram story to get the student's perspective or your following's perspective on a situation is another way to connect social media and the learning curriculum together. So I know, like, as a future educator, I would use social media as a way to help me connect with my students so they can understand that I get where they're coming from, and I know this is what they like to do, and I know that this is what they pay most attention to. So if I can incorporate a lesson into that, then I would do so.
Good, and I'm glad you get the chance to get a head start on that, because I don't see it as slowing down as far as the technology and all the social media platforms and everything like that. So you get one up on the future generation or so. Type of learner.
Well, before I piggyback off what Ms. Owen said, I'm more of a hands-on learner, but it also depends on like the class. Because I know in my architecture class, it is hands-on learning because you actually have to do everything.
Nice.
But in my English class, it's more so visual because I write and I write and I write, and then after a certain amount of time, then it's embedded in my brain, and then I remember. So yeah, that's basically it, because all my other classes are like my English class, except for my architecture class. But my orientation class, it's more like, it's laid back. So I feel as though the way my orientation teacher can make it more bright or make it more relatable. Because in a lot of my classrooms, all the professors do is they just stand there and they tell you rather than get you intrigued or get you active with the lesson. So like Miss Owen said, like you can, since we're Generation Z students and since we're such, we use technology a lot, you can incorporate the social media. So like you can, like in English, you can bring up a post. Because I met my English teacher, they would bring up posts on like, because we had a paper due on like black gun violence, so they would bring up all the different pictures of everyone who has been sad to say killed by the gun violence and stuff like that. So like Ms. Owen said, you can incorporate that more, so us Generation Z students and the kids who are coming up, they can learn better.
And it's important for you guys and your roles and what you're going to be doing to continue to learn those new innovative ways or so, because you're going to be giving back to, you know, you have younger siblings. I know you have a younger sibling as well, and then in your specific career fields and things like that. So I just want to take the time to thank you guys both for allowing me to conduct this interview with you as your peer today. I'm young, and as any last statements, last testimony words or so, or any questions or so before we conclude?
I just want to say, like, not like with the survey, like just to everybody, just because you think that you can't do it, don't stop. Because that's what
right there to the
that's
people.
what that's because that's what happened when I was younger. I always thought that I couldn't do it, but then once you reevaluate and you're like, okay, because you may not be able to hit an obstacle one way, but if you look at it like war generals do, if they can't beat you one way, they're gonna try to attack you a different way, and then eventually you're gonna lose. So that's how I think when it comes to obstacles like school or stuff like that. Definitely times management. Whether you're a freshman in high school, you want to make sure you get the best grades as possible, because that's what messed up.
Messages for me.
Yeah, because now I look at because every week I do like reevaluations of myself, and I'll sit back and think like, alright, this is what I thought about myself last week. Now what can I do to make myself better next week, and then the week after that, or can I better myself tomorrow, or can I be a bigger impact on the world 5 minutes from now?
It's wonderful. Thank you.
So I know this is to a lot of higher ed educators.
Yes.
You guys are studying
my
the Gen
classmates.
Z. Hello.
Hey,
What I can say is, as a Gen Z person myself, I can say that you wouldn't know how the Gen Z generation operates until you're put into it. So like, if you're not on social media, like you said, social media is not a big part, but if you're not on social media, how are you going to connect social media to us if you don't even know about it? So making Twitter pages, I know a lot of educators that have Twitter pages just to post about their educational perspective or their philosophies, and just to inspire other people about things that they're doing in their classrooms. Also, I know some educators that are YouTubers that YouTube different lesson plans and things that they do. So, or like I said, with the polls on Instagram, putting up polls and saying like, hey, do you like this? Do you like that? Is a way to connect with the Gen Z generation and incorporate that into your lesson plans as a higher ed education.
Well, I guess that's going to conclude our interview. Let's keep empowering, educating, and encouraging these wonderful young minds for the Generation Z generation. Thank you both. Appreciate your time. And I hope you guys enjoyed the interview. Peace.